It's Mundo in the Morning. Now on FM at 95.7. Set a preset on your radio. KCMO Talk Radio.
Yesterday was the memorial service of Charlie Kirk. Tens of thousands of people there in Glendale, Arizona, including former Kansas governor and current gubernatorial candidate Jeff Colyer, who joins us on KCMO. Jeff, how would you try to describe yesterday?
I first met Charlie a few years ago, a decade or so ago, and I never thought that I would see a day like yesterday. A lot of people thought it was going to be a somber day, kind of a funeral-esque sort of thing, and it was not. It was really a revival, talking about our country, talking about God and in politics, but it was how proud we should be to be Americans and to have people like Charlie Kirk. It was just an amazing day.
What was it like as you were approaching the stadium and seeing the tens of thousands of people waiting in line and those who obviously could not get in? I know there was a lot happening outside of the arena and stadium as well. What was it like as you were just walking into that moment and trying to take it all in?
I was up at 4 a.m. Yesterday to leave Kansas City. And what was really amazing, though, is when we got there, there were tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that were there. As you drove up to the stadium, there are actually two stadiums that they filled yesterday. And between them, they hold about 100,000 people between those two stadiums. And there were still tens of thousands. People were parking miles away. We parked about 3.5 miles away from the entrance. And every car, spot was parked in, on all of the streets around it. People were walking up, people were walking back who couldn't get in, but there were tens of thousands of people. And I've been to a lot of events. I've been to a couple of World Series, to Super Bowl, to see the Pope on Christmas Mass in St. Peter's Square. But I've never seen such a group of people. And they were ordinary Americans, but they were all stripes. They were black, white, rich, poor, kids from Asia, young moms, seniors with wheelchairs. It was amazing what the turnout was, and it made you really proud to be an American.
What it stood out to me as well, and this was just anecdotally seeing the crowd and also seeing some of the interviews with people in line on different social media platforms and on YouTube streams yesterday, the outpouring of young people, and obviously Charlie's legacy was trying to change the hearts and the minds of the youth in particular. How much was that a part of what you noticed yesterday and part of what yesterday's service was all about? The young people who came out to support Charlie and obviously the legacy that he leaves behind for, I would say, the millennial generation and also the Gen Z behind it.
There is a huge awakening that's happening around this. It was really amazing to see. So I'm talking to a lot of young people there. And what was interesting was there were lots of kids that I talked to who said, I'm not political, but I didn't believe all of the drivel that they were trying to teach us in college and in university. I wanted to be able to think. And that's what Charlie brought out in me, is that I wanted to think, and that they wanted to be proud of America. And in talking to all of these young people, there was this energy that was there, an energy of, we don't back down, we do the right thing, and that's really, who we are as Kansans, as Americans.
Mm-hmm. What about Jeff Collier's here, former Kansas governor? He's running again in 26. How about Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie? Of course, she stole the show with that 30-minute speech. What stood out to you, and what was it like being in the building for that address from Erika Kirk?
It was electrifying. It was also, there was not a dry eye in the place. And her strength, to have her stand up after what had happened to, her family just 11 days before, she really, demonstrated how she relied on her faith, how she relied, on our country and Charlie's vision. And she shared that with people. And, if you guys didn't get to see it, you should watch, that on YouTube. And it was amazing. She pointed out, okay, this happened 11 days ago. And you know what it was like. You and I talked about it. It affected the entire country. And you know what? She was so proud that no fires were lit. There was not rioting on the streets. There was resolve that this doesn't happen again. And, she did something that I don't know whether I could do, but, to forgive but not forget the young man that killed her husband. And she said best, Charlie was trying to reach out to people like his killer, to the young men especially, but young men and young women, that, they got alienated in college and university, and that there's a real home in America. And, we should be proud of our country. She was just inspirational.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch her. Absolutely. Jeff, the whole thing was about 4.5, 5 hours, of course, and there were a lot of, obviously, you had a lot of Christian artists playing yesterday. We played some of them throughout the morning. You had Brandon Lake, you had Phil Wickham, you had Chris Tomlin, you had others. You had President Trump, obviously, put a bow on it. Just start to finish, the emotional roller coaster that you were a part of yesterday. Obviously, there were thoughts, there were prayers, and to me that means something. We say thoughts and prayers and it gets mocked by people after tragedy, but wouldn't you say yesterday was in many ways defined by thoughts and prayers, and it showed the power of each of those things being on display to the world?
That's exactly what America is, and that our best days are ahead of us. And it was really interesting to people wanted to intellectually, they wanted to engage, just like Charlie wanted to engage, but it was also their faith. J.D. Vance said, I've talked more about religion in the last 11 days than I had in my entire political career, and it woke something up in him. And I think it really did. And that those two things, together are so important for us, for what America is and what the dream of America is. Just like our forefathers, they believed in faith, they believed in their country, and they wanted to build the greatest place, the safest place where you could say what you believe, where you can believe, whatever you want, that you can fight for a future and have that future without being silenced. It was a great patriotic day, and I think you're going to see this fire continue to grow.
It's going to be incredible to see it unfold. Well, we appreciate you being here, Jeff Colyer. Thank you for the firsthand perspective on what yesterday was all about, and safe travels back to Kansas City.
Hey, it's good to be with you. We're actually in Dallas today to be with Ross Perot. We're doing a little event with him, and got a little more traveling going on this week, and then we'll be home. Look forward to seeing you again, Pete.